And welcome back to Western New York Living. It seems with the busy schedules that everyone has, nowadays many people can fall into bad habits of neglecting their overall health. It is important, if you see changes in your hearing, to have it checked out in a timely fashion. Joining us this morning is Bernstein from Hearing Evaluation Services of Buffalo to talk about a hearing problem some of you may be dealing with right now. It's called tinnitus, or how do you pronounce the other way?
Tinnitus.
And so both ways are okay to say, right?
Both are commonly accepted terms.
Welcome to Western New York
Thank you.
Living. The last time I was talking about hearing loss, I had the statistic that people sometimes wait up to 7 years to deal with it. Is it the same with this condition?
Oftentimes it's even longer. Unfortunately, there's this misconception, and people have been told by healthcare providers and friends and family for years that there's nothing they can do about their tinnitus. So some people may have been living with it for 20, 30, 40 years and still think there's nothing that they can do about it, but that's just not the case anymore. We have a lot of great management techniques for people.
Let's start at the beginning. What would some of the sounds be? If I'm in a quiet room, what would I hear?
You might hear ringing, buzzing, crickets chirping. It could sound like running water. And some people even have the sound of music in their ears, which is much less common, but it is possible.
And who does this affect and why?
It can affect almost anyone at any age, more adults. We know that it's commonly associated with exposure to noise and hearing loss. So there are certain professions that might be more prone to it: soldiers, musicians, construction workers. But really anybody can have it, even if they don't have hearing loss. Sometimes just earwax alone will cause it.
I have a girlfriend who had this and had to deal with it, but it can be so disruptive in your own life because your quality of life changes.
Absolutely. We know that there's about 44 million adult Americans who have tinnitus, but only about 13 are actually bothered enough to seek medical treatment. And that's 13 million people whose lives are affected by the tinnitus. It could affect their quality of sleep. And we know that there are a segment of that population also who are really debilitated by it, sometimes to the point of becoming disabled.
Tell me about some of the ways that we're learning today. How do you, at the Hearing Evaluation Services of Buffalo, how do you deal with this? Tell me how you manage it.
Manage it is a great word because that's what we really help people do. We have the only certified tinnitus specialists in Western New York who have developed a program for us that's research-backed, and we take a four-pronged approach. The first is that we provide acoustic therapy, so that might be sound enrichment, making sure that there's always some sound in the environment. We provide amplification if there is an additional underlying hearing loss. We provide relaxation techniques for people and a lot of counseling and education. And we find that helping people really understand what's happening to them can reduce their stress and anxiety, and reducing that can actually help reduce how bothered they are by their tinnitus.
And a lot of times the underlying problem of hearing loss, once that's managed, it makes everything else a little bit better.
Correct. Somewhere between about 60 and 80% of people, if you just address the hearing loss, will get relief from their tinnitus.
Wow. And so for somebody who's had the relief by working with you, what have they said to you? Like, what are some of the things?
Gosh, we've had people, it's just changed their lives. And I've had people start to cry as soon as you put the hearing aids on. Just doing that, they start to cry and they just say, "This is the first time I've been in silence in 20 plus years."
Oh, it's like peace.
Yeah, people don't realize just how burdensome it can be.
I am just thinking that maybe you make a lunch date at the Hearing Evaluation Services of Buffalo for that person that's being a little bit difficult to get there. It's hard to get people to come in.
There's still this stigma around hearing loss for some reason, but for some people, like I said, even just earwax buildup can cause tinnitus. So if we can just get people to come in so we can look in their ears, do a baseline test, which everyone over 50 should have, we can really probably help. And sometimes it's just providing information, and it may be the sound enrichment alone. If
you think you might be suffering from tinnitus, it's time you contact Hearing Evaluation Services of Buffalo. Head over to their website, which is, of course, HESofbuffalo.org, to find out more about all the services they provide. They have offices in Amherst, Williamsville, Orchard Park, and Tonawanda for you to visit. Also offering a no-charge take-home demo with any hearing device if you call 406-6062 and mention you saw the segment on Western New York Living. Coming up next, we're going to dust off your bike and get you ready for the annual ride for Roswell in June. We'll tell you how you can take part or maybe volunteer for this great event that benefits Roswell Park. Western New York Living will continue.
Special consideration for today's show paid for by the following: